The story goes a shadow warrior would slip into a pond, stay hidden for hours, breathing easy through his blowtube. When his unsuspecting target finally turned up, the ninja's poison dart would quickly carry out its carnage.
All right, this is pretty complicated, so let's break it down into its elements.
All right, well, first of all, we need to see how long somebody can stay underwater, because if you're underneath the water for a long period of time, there's a possibility you could get hypothermia.
And we need to see if we can build an accurate blowgun using only the materials that an ancient ninja would have.
And we need to find out if you can aim underwater, because you need to correct for refraction.
All right, well, then the hard part is going to be breathing through the blowgun, loading the dart while you're underneath the water, and then making that lethal shot.
Okay, this is gonna be tough.
Well, if it was easy being a ninja, anybody could do it.
So first up, Tori's going to put his life on the line.
Stop right there, that's good.
Today, we're going to test exposure to cold water. And to do that, Tori has kindly volunteered to jump into our tank of 66-degree temperature water.
That's about the average temperature of a lake in Japan during fall. But they're not throwing Tori completely in at the deep end.
Here you go, buddy.
Ew, it smells too.
He will have some protection.
Well, apparently, ninjas used to rub animal fat all over their bodies and then put a leather suit on before they got into cold water to act as like a wetsuit. Right, not only am I uncomfortable, I look like a complete idiot.
Not a complete idiot. For that, you need one more thing.
This is the ninja hood. This
Do I
part
really
goes,
have to wear this?
well, this
Yeah,
is,
I mean, really.
Yes, you do, Tori. You lose up to 50% of your body heat through your head. And in your battle with the elements, you'll need all the help you can get.
All right, you're going to write on this board how you feel. 1 is you're okay, you're good to go, all the way up to 10, which is I think I've got hypothermia, get me out of here now.
Sounds easy enough.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Just stay underwater until you're almost dead.
Quite honestly, under that cold water, I don't think Tori's gonna last very long. I feel like, 10, 15 minutes, and he's just gonna be cold and have to get out.
In water this cold, he could die in as little as 2 hours. And just 10 minutes in, Tori's already struggling.
Let's ask him what number he's at.
5. He's colder.
In case Tori hits real trouble, paramedics are on standby. They know what to look for.
Symptoms of hypothermia would include starting to shiver, lethargy, being confused, lack of coordination.
Other than the shivering, that's how he is normally, so it's going to be a little tough for us to tell.
It's even harder to pick when he's underwater, which he's now been for 45 chilly minutes.
7.
Okay, he's pretty cold.
He's pretty uncomfortable.
In water this cold, Tori's losing body heat 32 times faster than he would normally.
His breathing's really getting ragged.
And the shaking's getting worse.
Oh, he's coming up. He's coming up. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's it.
All right.
Okay, quick, let's get your temperature.
Okay, first thing.
Carrie and Grant need to check if he's critical
All the water out of your mouth?
to see whether he can recover on his own or to call in the cavalry.
You can get out now.
Now, given that Tori's just, a regular guy of average health, that is a very good performance.
It was harder than I thought it was going to be. The longer I was in there, the harder it was to breathe.
But the $64,000 question is, could he aim and fire a blowgun?
As a trained ninja, you could probably shoot somebody with a dart right now.
You lasted an hour. I didn't think it would be that long.
Considering you don't have any cold water training, that looks pretty good for this myth.
Yeah, so we just did the exposure test. Now on to the fun part.
That wasn't the fun part.
No, now we're going to do the blowgun test.
Yes. Yes.
So first things first, it's a motorcycle myth, and we'll be needing a...
That's a bike.
Exactly.
Oh, it's lovely.
Actually rode across country in one of these things.
No way. I'm just reeling from learning something about you I didn't know. It seems that there's a never-ending supply of those.
It's a single-cylinder 4-cycle We'd call them a thumper. It's not like, it's like an old-fashioned bike.
Okay, it may be old-fashioned, but the movie bikes are vintage World War II.
I know what you're saying. You're saying this really doesn't look like a vintage World War II era motorcycle, and it isn't. In fact, it's from 1981, but it is the exact model of bike used by the stuntmen to perform their stunts for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which means that it, and not some vintage bike, is the perfect test platform for us for this myth.
Now that that's sorted, let's kick things off as Adam and Jamie focus on the first aspect of the myth.
Since this myth is all about the poking of a flagpole into the spokes of a motorcycle, one of the things we want to know is how fast can we poke a flagpole?
Because once they know the speed of a human flagpole poke,
Nice, Tiger.
they can calibrate their remaining tests to just that.
Just plain funny to let you exert yourself like that. I don't know why exactly. It just is. High comedy.
Whatever floats your goat.
And the high comedy on the high speed reveals the magic number to be 30 miles per hour. Cue part 2 of the experiment, a remote control flagpole thruster.
You might remember this puppy right here from Birds on a Truck, because this was our pigeon catcher.
Yep, it's not a prop from Mad Max. It really is a pigeon catcher. Not that it caught any pigeons.
It has an air reservoir, it has a valve, it has everything we need to shoot the stick into the wheels of the motorcycle. I just need to change the barrel a bit and we'll be good to go. In 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that looked a tad faster than 30 miles an hour to me. But let's see what Adam thinks.
1.
That might be a little too fast.
That's what I said.
Is everybody okay?
That's dangerous.
Yeah, we might have to tune that one back. The only problem that we're finding with this rig is that it seems to be giving us too much bang for our buck right now.
1.
That's 143 miles per hour. Almost no pressure in this tank. This valve is so big that the stick is still going at like 50 miles an hour, which is way faster than either of us could throw the flagpole. I'm not gonna get tired of that.
And so to get the speed they need, around 30 miles per hour,
This is an exceedingly weird operation.
they add some hose to decrease the pressure.
Firing in 3, 2, 1. That might be it.
That's it. That's the butter zone. 12 PSI, we get 28.5 miles per hour. That's perfect.
As odd as this sounds, after destroying their wooden backstop, they finally got the ex-pigeon catcher throwing a flagpole at a realistic speed.
This might sound crazy, but a lot of the fans are saying that you can actually make rope out of toilet paper, and it'll be strong enough that you could scale down a jail wall and escape.
Toilet paper? Are you serious?
All right, well, if we're gonna do that, I think we should do the all-time classic, making a rope out of bed sheets.
I know it's kind of out there, but let's also do the Rapunzel version of this, where you make a rope out of hair.
Ew.
I see this footage so many times, it just gets funnier.
Now, apparently they're fainting goats. I mean, this is a news story. But have you ever heard of any animal besides a human fainting?
No, and in fact, some of our fans think that this is just a hoax because this footage is so weird.
Well, you know, there's only one way to find out.
All right, let's go see for ourselves.
So Carrie and Tori hit the road to confirm or confound this possible fraud once and for all.
All right, we're at Renegade Ranch to see these fainting goats. I mean, I haven't seen one fall over yet. So I'm just kind of excited to get in there and try to freak them out and see if we can get them to fall over. I know that seems kind of cruel, but you know, science could be cruel sometimes.
I have seen this internet clip so many times because it cracks me up. Do goats actually faint?
Well, they do and they don't. They appear to faint, but they don't actually lose consciousness when they fall on the ground. It's a muscle condition called myotonia that affects their leg muscles. So when they get scared, sometimes even excited, their muscles are tightened up in their legs, and sometimes they'll actually fall over.
Yeah, but this still smells like a rural myth, meant to make us city folk look dumber than a fence post. But Tori's halfway convinced.
Apparently, shepherds breed these goats just for that gene, so that way they can put one of these goats into their flock of sheep, so when a real predator shows up, all the sheep take off and the goat is stuck there, paralyzed, so that the predator can eat it and not the sheep. Now, if that's not taking one for the team, I don't know what is. The sad thing is, it's not even his team. I mean, it's the sheep, you know?
Sounds like someone's going soft on these cute little guys. It won't last.
All right, Tori, your first step. What do you want to do?
I think for my first one, I'm just gonna see if I can get one of these goats to faint with no tricks. I mean, I haven't seen one of these fainted yet. Ooh. Oh,
It's a shameful start. The first one to faint is one of us. So while Tori regroups, Carrie gives it a whirl.
Okay, I figured something would be very freaky with a lot of flash would be an umbrella. So I'm gonna try to crouch down, wait till they're calm, and then pow.
That kapow sure worked on the virus video, so it should work now. But it doesn't.
they're laughing at us, Carrie. They mock us.
I don't think this is as easy as I thought it was gonna be.
Every failure to faint casts more doubt on this viral video. But Tori needs to prove that he's smarter than the livestock.
I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna lay down in that trough right there, cover me in hay.
Christina supplies the hay as Tori's wrapped and interred inside a straw sarcophagus.
Let them come up to the hay, eat for a little bit, and then I'll spring out and see if we can get one of these guys to faint.
5 long minutes later, Carrie calls in the strike.
All right, Tori, go now.
Not one?
Not one.
You kidding me?
Dude, that would scare the heck out of me. I can't tell you how frustrating this is. I mean, they're called fainting goats. We can't make a fainting goat faint. Seriously.
But enough bleating. Let's bring out the big guns.
These techniques don't seem to be working very well. I thought these goats were supposed to faint like that.
I got an idea. This one's for the boys.
The boys don't know it, but they're about to enjoy their first, and probably last, Bucks party.
All right, Carrie, these are the male goats. What's your technique?
You ready?
Yeah.
Tori falls to friendly fire, but once again, Carrie fails to stun or stiffen the target species.
Wasn't ready for that one, Carrie.
It's especially annoying because by now they know the goat video was no fraud. Behind the scenes, they're falling like flies.
You know what's frustrating me the most? Everybody seems to be able to get these goats to fall except Carrie and me. Camera guy walks by a goat, it falls over. The runner, he's making goats fall over. The farmer walks by and they're falling over.
Well, the breed is called the Tennessee fainting goat. So Carrie and Tori give themselves one last shot at the goat version of Operation Shock and Awe. So let's meet the meat.
Now, the first one is a low-grade steak. It's not been altered or tenderized in any way. The second one is that same low-grade steak, but we've tenderized it with a low explosive. The third one, we've tenderized with a high explosive. And the fourth one, we've tenderized with a pineapple enzyme commercial preparation. Now, the last one is a prime steak that's been aged 28 days. We're gonna test all of these and see which one is the most tender.
And so as not to influence the results, Adam adds a touch of color.
We have 5 different cuts of meat to cook and test. Each of those cuts of meat has been assigned a color which matches to these pans and our little taste test bowls here.
To ensure there's no bias from the Barbie, steak chef Joe Cohn cooks all 5 cuts just the same. And another celebrity chef has been invited to dine in the dirt.
We're bringing in Ron Siegel, who's the chef at the Ritz-Carlton, and he was the only American ever to win the Japanese Iron Chef program. Ron, thanks for coming on to help us out.
Thanks for coming out to the bomb range.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, where are those steaks?
It turns out that Ron is double qualified to judge this contest. He began his professional life as a butcher.
Gentlemen, we get 5 cuts of meat, and we are to rate them from the least tender to the most tender. It's all about tender.
Let the chewing commence.
Steak's good. Some of it is better than others.
I'm done.
So, drum roll, please. 3 different tasters and 3 totally different results. For this myth to be true, the order should be red, yellow, blue, pink, then green. But no one agreed on anything. And that's got Adam worried.
Even though we had 5 different samples here, the main thing we wanted to see was that the green, the high explosive tenderized meat, would be rated higher than the red, our control. And even though I did that, neither Ron nor Jamie felt like that. So right now, it's not looking that good for this myth. Let's get back to the shop and crunch the numbers. I'm cold.
All right. Is there any more steak left?
Here's a few simple rules for safe driving. Don't do it drunk, distracted, or stressed. Aside from the danger, driving under duress might add to your fuel bill. And that's today's motoring myth. Later on, we'll try to redline Grant and Tori's stress levels.
You suck!
But first, we need a nice, calm comparison test. And Carrie knows just how to put the boys into a mellow mood.
Grant, for you, we have puppies. Tori, for you, we have the director's cut of Blade Runner and all your favorite desserts.
I don't want to leave.
These are the fluffiest puppies we could find. They're 8 weeks old.
Oh, God.
Okay, I think we found Grant's happy place.
While Grant gets acquainted with his extra fluffy puppies, Tori slips next door for a pre-movie massage.
This is the best day of MythBusters ever.
Now we want that calm feeling to last throughout the test, so we're gonna cater to the senses. We're gonna have CD playing that has really soothing music. We're gonna have lavender scenting the car, and aromatherapists say that this is a calming smell. We're going to have a plush seat cover and steering wheel cover, so they have something nice to touch. And we'll see how much fuel that they use when they're in that relaxed mode.
Sounds very calming, but not for Carrie. She's wrestling with a concept that never fails to raise your blood pressure. One size fits all.
Calm day has been a pain in the butt. I'm looking forward to stressful day. I think that's gonna be Carrie calm day. So it's gonna be fun.
Ooh, it smells nice in here. What if I get so relaxed I fall asleep and crash?
I guess we'll find out how fuel efficient a crash is.
Tori's the first cab off this restricted rank with precisely 2,500 grams of gasoline. Now, for the first of 3 nasty surprises as he learns he's not alone out there.
Go, angry driver.
Break out the popcorn, because Carrie, Grant, and Tori catch a movie.
Oh, so we're doing another movie myth? Which one is it?
The cult classic, Deep Blue Sea.
Yes, genetically altered man-eating sharks! Tell me we're testing the scene when they blow the shark up.
We're testing the scene where they blow the shark up.
Yes!
But there's a twist. They don't have any weapons on hand, so they MacGyver it. Check this out.
Yep, in this scene from the silver screen, the survivors of some mutant shark mayhem are desperate to finish the fish. So they turn to a harpoon gun, flares, and an electric charge.
We ought to get about 2.5 sticks of dynamite out of these flares.
The question is, could this MacGyver-style combo really equal a big boom?
From up here, you ought to be able to see me spirit. When I do, you take this end of this cable, hook it up to the positive side of the boat battery, and boom.
So they have 2.5 sticks of dynamite's worth of black powder from the flares, and it looks like he's gonna make a pipe bomb from the cylinder attached to the harpoon.
But how are they going to ignite the black powder?
It looks like he's gonna just attach that metal cable to a battery, and that's supposed to set it off.
No way.
Way, because that's exactly what happens
Ouch, just
after upping the jeopardy by pinning his friend to the shark.
Now what's he gonna do? I mean, if he kills the shark, he could potentially kill his friend. But if he doesn't kill the shark can get away. Now he's in a dilemma. Kill the shark, kill the friend, let the shark get away. What's he gonna do?
He opts for the heroic sacrifice, of course. But our harpoon-toting hero hesitates, perhaps fatally, because the genetically enhanced super shark makes for the hole in the fence he'd prepared earlier.
Oh, wait, the hero's free.
There's a spark.
And
Wait a minute, 2.5 sticks of dynamite?
Tower of Water, Blood, and Fire. Awesome.
That is a pretty crazy scene, and there's a lot of elements to test.
Okay, let's break it down. First of all, we need to find out if you can ignite black powder with a car battery like they did in the movie.
And we need to see if an improvised harpoon gun like that can go that distance and still be accurate.
And then we need to find out more about these flares. Do they even contain black powder? And if so, do they have enough to make the mythical 2.5 sticks of dynamite?
And can that amount of black powder make the massive explosion that we saw?
And the guy survived.
Well, we definitely need to test that.
Okay, that's 5 things to test for one scene. That's gotta be a record.
It's the Deep Blue Sea Quintet of Myths with 5 separate testable elements. It's something to get your teeth into. But hold the phone, because Tori's starting this myth by making a mark of a shark.
I started off with a big block of foam. I put an outline on the profile and then a top view, marked that out with spray paint, cut that out with hot wires. From there, I went and took the foam cutting machine and shaped it down to more shark-like.
Nicknamed Hugo because he's, huge, he's a little cuddlier than his movie counterpart. And talking of the movie,
Now, while Tori finishes up Hugo, Grant and I are going to start testing the first part of this myth, which is the ignition system. Can you ignite black powder with a battery and a wire? We're going to start with a proof of concept.
and to explain the concept and method for proving it, here's our resident electrical engineer.
Okay, so this is a setup for our proof of concept. Now, people would normally think that it's the spark from the battery that ignites the black powder, but in their setup, it's actually more likely to be the heat. So, what I'm gonna do is hook up this battery to a pair of jumper cables. There's a thin wire between the two, and the heat should build up as the current flows through that conductor, and that should ignite the black powder.
Sounds simple enough.
You just touch the positive and that should ignite, right?
That's right. Everybody ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Yep, as expected, the heat emitted by the current being forced through the wire is enough to ignite the black powder.
That's proof of concept.
Yeah, for this part. But now what we gotta do is set it up like they had it in the movie.
Well, as we expected, we generated enough heat to ignite the black powder. But the question is, will the setup in the movie do the same?
That's the burning question. And some jump cuts later, they're all set to put the movie scene to the test.
Okay, so here's the setup. We have a tank filled with salt water. Inside of the tank is an airtight metal canister. Inside of that is black powder. Now that's connected, just like in the movie, through a steel cable. Steel cable leads back to a 12-volt marine battery. Then the other half of the circuit, by a jumper cable, leads all the way back to the tank, and hopefully completing the circuit, and ba-boom.
What are you doing? Is it time for like fire safety tips or something?
In fact, it is. Today's fire safety tip is don't stand near a car that's on fire.
Okay. Why?
All right, I'm glad you asked. Because it turns out that some cars have a bumper attached to them by a shock absorber. And this is to, allow the bumper to absorb some of the hit when it bumps into something. And that in a car fire, that shock absorber can overheat and explode and send the bumper shooting out, potentially kneecapping anybody who's unfortunate enough to be standing in front of or behind the car on fire.
I sense a car fire in our near future.
I think it's definitely something we should test.
Okay.
Bumpers are designed to protect your car by absorbing some of the impact from a low-speed collision. But if your car's on fire, this myth contends that the gas-filled pistons can heat up to a point where the bumper becomes a deadly projectile, and its range is an incredible 50 feet.
As far as the methodology goes, I think it's pretty straightforward. We just go to a junkyard, we get some bumpers of the appropriate type, we subject them to some really high heat, and we test them.
Right, but since this whole thing is about what happens to these bumpers in a car fire, I think our very first step is to simply set a car on fire and take some measurements and readings to figure out what kind of temperatures we're actually talking about.
Agreed.
So the boys bowled up to the bomb range to set a car on fire. This is familiar MythBusters territory. So how hard can it be? Well, as hard as you want to make it.
We're all right.
What the hell are you doing?
Having some fun.
Jamie's idea of fun is likely different to yours, mine, and Adam's.
Remember, kids, you really can get in trouble with one of these things.
It's an apt start to a day that will not go quite to plan.
We have found some potential cases of this actually happening, that maybe bumpers shot off during car fires. And the researchers have found us a make and model similar to those in the reports that we have. So we're going to set this thing on fire, find out how hot a car fire actually gets, take temperature readings all around it, and if we're very lucky, maybe we'll get a bumper shooting off.
That would be a bonus. But remember, their primary purpose is to see just how hot a car fire gets. Fortunately, there's some adult supervision on hand.
Good morning. We got just a small car fire we're going to set and hopefully help ask you guys to put out.
No problem, sir.
Adam draws on boyhood skills to raise the car and strip the wheels in next to no time. Here in California, it's a crime to burn tires. For some reason, it's not a crime to wear a silver suit with suspenders. As Adam slips into something less comfortable, Jamie considers the finer details.
We're going to light the car on fire, and being as the engine has fuel, it has oil, it has plastic parts, it's got batteries with electricity, you've got all the elements you need to create an energetic fire. And that also happens to be the area around the bumper. So that's where we're going to focus our ignition, and we'll see what happens.
And just for good measure, when the car's ablaze, they'll get accurate temperature measurements by circling it with a thermal imaging camera.
That ought to do. What do you think?
Go for it.
This is fun.
But try as he might, Adam can't manage to set fire to the engine, even though it's swimming in gasoline. Making fire is something even cavemen mastered. But we've struggled with this before. Who could forget the shaky start to trailblazers?
It's hard stuff to light.
It only lights when it gets mystified.
This delayed ignition is risky business, and statistically, it's getting more perilous by the second. I mean, nothing's gone wrong for almost 40 minutes.
Whoa! I'm okay.
You got a little bit of a haircut there, didn't you?
I got a little bit of a, not a haircut, I got a little bit of a hair on the back of my hand.
Alrighty, guys, this next myth is gonna be insane.
What is it?
That's it, the Hwacha. It's an ancient Korean weapon.
If there's a picture of it, that means it's not a myth, it exists.
Well, we know it exists. What we're gonna test is the legend of the Hwacha, whether or not it could do what they said it could do. Apparently, they could fire 200 arrows all at once, going 500 yards, and all of the arrows explode on impact.
Okay, well, to begin with, any weapon in that era wouldn't have had the benefit of modern explosives or propellants. It was likely based entirely on black powder.
So first we need to find out if black powder can actually propel one of those arrows 500 yards.
Right, and then we need to see if we can get these rockets to explode on impact.
And finally, we need to see if we can launch 200 arrows simultaneously without them all crashing into each other or exploding on the stand.
It's a massive myth to unravel with 3 key parts. 1, can a fire arrow actually travel 500 yards? 2, can it be rigged to explode on impact? And 3, can you really set off 200 at once? So let's start up at the pointy end.
Well, what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna build one of these arrows from the materials that the ancient Koreans would have used. I have some bamboo, I have some feathers for my fletching, and finally, a piece of steel to make my arrowheads out of.
Tori proves himself a first-class Fletcher and a pretty fair blacksmith.
All right, so my arrow's done. Now it's time to see how it flies. Pretty dang good.
That's one down, 199 to go. Tori leaves the hard work to Karen as he and Grant skip town to visit Zambelli Fireworks in Pennsylvania.
We're lost, aren't we?
The rationale behind the road trip is that the fire arrows work just like skyrockets.
Happen to have some fun while we're here? That's purely coincidental.
Just like fireworks, the Hwacha rockets were charged with black powder. Ours have to travel 500 yards strapped to a 4.5-foot arrow. Grant and Tori are determined to roll their own, and Bill is here to help them.
Well, let's see. What's one of these weigh? Oh, about 4 ounces. That's not bad. Every 12 ounces the shell weighs, we add 1 ounce of lift to lift it up in the air. You know, if you guys want to go 500 yards, that's a long way, so we'll see how a 2-ounce rocket works.
Using 6-inch cardboard tubes, Bill shows how to pack a charge without blowing up the bunker.
And so you do a little bit at a time, and you
Put the rod down in, and you just give it a couple hits.
It feels wrong.
Just don't hit it too hard, man. I'd hate to see you blow your hand off. Feel good? Hey.
Grant and Tori make several versions, some with more black powder and some with less. The rockets are wrapped in paper, then Bill adds the fuse.
And when we go to fire it, you cut this paper and peel it back. And give yourself five or 6 seconds to walk away.
Okay. You ready? Yeah, let's see what these bad boys can do. Oh, this is perfect. I mean, can't you just imagine an invading army coming out of that forest?
Totally. All right, so we need to see if these arrows can fly 500 yards, so we should walk it out.
They're here to test part 1 of the myth, that a rocket arrow really could make the distance. But 500 yards is a long, long way.
This is how all horror movies start. Didn't that guy say stick to the path? This is gonna be perfect. We're right at the tree line.
The crop ends smack bang on the 500-yard mark. They tape the target halfway up a tree so they can see it from the launch site.
At this point, I think we're just going for distance rather than aim. But if I were to take a guess to see whether the arrow would hit him, I'd have to say we probably wouldn't. But then again, the Hwacha had 200 arrows.